So, Mark Schlereth talked about the Jamar Chase situation where he spit on Jalen Ramsey. And he gave his thoughts and opinions from more of an old head type perspective. So, someone who's played in the NFL a little bit of time ago, right, who kind of sees it in a different light. That's what I'll say it like that. Let's go ahead and listen up to this. I'll give my thoughts and opinions as we go through. Let's go.
Let me just linger a little bit here on the Jamar Chase suspension and what happened with Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Were you in the stadium when Bill Romanowski spit on J.J. Stokes? You were there that day?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. You have any recollections that you want to share that might
Yeah.
teach the kids something about how this has been going on for quite some time? Or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. It's not something that it happens a ton. I mean, we started the season,
That's right.
right? We started the season with, was it Jalen Carter that
Yes, sir.
that spit toward Dak Prescott. This is just one of those things that, I mean, it doesn't happen very often. It's complete and total disrespect. There's no question about it. I was thinking about my guy Aqib Talib. If it would have happened to Aqib, he would be suspended for life because he probably would have tried to end Jamar Chase's life in that situation.
So let me ask you this then, because again, Ramsey got the gate, and
Yeah.
Chase is, he's going to appeal his suspension. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Do you think the NFL, now knowing what it knows or it is alleging, should tell Jalen Ramsey, are bad for ejecting you, or?
See, I hate that so much, and I know there's some people, Steelers fans, who believe that. No, what Jalen Ramsey did was so wrong. He should not have punched Jamar Chase. I know that's the reaction, right? Here's what I'll say, right? From an NFL stance, from a rule perspective stance, Jalen Ramsey should not have punched Jamar Chase. From a person stance, me as a person, me as a guy, me as a human, I don't blame Jalen Ramsey for punching Jamar Chase. Guy spit on you, your first reaction, you clock him. That's just how it works. I don't blame Jalen Ramsey for punching him. But from an NFL stance, you have to look at it from like a rule perspective. Jalen Ramsey punched somebody. That's against the rules, and that should be punished. That's just how it is. Now, again, whatever happens that leads up to the punch doesn't mean crap. At the NFL perspective, if you throw a punch, you throw a punch. It doesn't matter what the player did or what happened, because how the NFL looks at things is, well, whatever the player did to cause you to punch him, right? We're going to handle him ourselves. We're going to handle that situation ourselves. By you punching him, you are now escalating the situation to a different degree. Now, as a person, as a human, I don't blame him. Someone spits on you, you're going to punch them in the face. Now, of course, he punched him in the helmet, which is he punched metal, which he could have broke his hand, so that probably wasn't the smartest idea. But also, again, he had cheap shots all day, which, again, something that people don't like to talk about, with Jalen Ramsey was cheap shotting Jamar Chase and other players the whole game. Now, the NFL should still give him a fine, and obviously not suspend him because he missed the game, but give him a fine. Because, yes, what he did was justified in a moral sense, but when it comes to rules and regulations, he violated the rules and regulations. Like, this is completely different from your perspective as an opinion and something that actually happened that's against the rules. Just because you're justified in a moral sense does not mean you're justified in a legal sense. So, yeah.
Or because, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Actually, last thing I'll say is, like, it's kind of like this context, and this is extreme context, by the way. But let's say, I don't know, you have a kid, right? Someone killed your kid. In a legal sense, in a criminal justice sense, a law sense, you cannot go and kill that person. You can't. In a moral sense, You know, like in a moral sense, as a father, as a mother, as a sister, brother, you know, there is justifiable things, I feel like. But from a legal sense, you cannot do that. Maybe not kill the person, but like, you know, beat the person up or hurt the person or badly injure the person, right? From a legal sense, you cannot. From a rules and regulation sense, you cannot. But from a moral sense, giving that person a butt whooping, you know, hurting that person, you might be morally justified, but you're not physically justified. I mean, you're not like, you know, legally justified. So, again, that's an extreme case, right? And obviously, all those cases are case by case basics. But that's kind of how I look at it with that perspective.
I don't think he was going to. And I understand Chase is like, hey, I was cheap shotted by Jalen Ramsey. It's not like Jalen is completely has the angel, you know, halo over his head here. But the reason why he got ejected is because he got his face spit in, which, as you pointed out, is beyond disrespectful and unprofessional. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I mean, you can never take the ejection back, but you can give him his money back and say, hey man, like I would love to see that. Our bad. And you know, and then as far as Jamar Chase is concerned, like in my time, if something happened to you during the course of a game, like you got cheap shotted, you just tallied that, you put it in the tally thing, and then you had some frontier justice on a couple plays later, you know, and that's how we policed ourselves. Like that, it got to the point where everything was policed through frontier justice, and that's just the way it worked, and it was that's the way you were coached to do it, and I miss those times. So so that's I think that's the way it should go.
Frontier justice. It sounds like you administered such justice at some point in your career, Mark.
Oh
No?
yeah, I not only did I minister it, but I had it administered to me on several different occasions. I can remember more than a couple of times where we threw an interception in a game, and that was always frightening because, you know, I'm holding somebody on every play, so every single play somebody's pissed at me, and all of a sudden you've got to, you know, circle out of there and go try to chase this interception. And I had two guys that knocked me ass over tea kettle. Bruce Smith hit me on an interception so hard in Buffalo once that, I mean, my feet off the ground. He hit me so hard, my head snapped back and snot shot out of both nostrils. And I got up and you're trying to act like it didn't hurt, right? And meanwhile, I'm like seeing stars. I'm dizzy, and I'm trying to wipe because I thought my nose was bleeding, and I'm stumbling to the thing, and like I thought it was my nose. I mean, just so much snot hanging all over the place, and it is like when you're holding somebody on every play, they're gonna get you. And Leslie O'Neal got me like that too one time, where you know that's why you have your head on a swivel when you get when you throw an interception because you know.
And I got no issue with that. You know, if you want to, someone cheap shots you, someone does something dirty to you, and you get back later on in the game or a couple plays later, I have no issue with that. Now, the problem is our team in general, we have seen many times where our quarterback will get hit or quarterback will get smashed, and for some reason, the offensive lineman will see it happen and do absolutely nothing, which is very uncommon because normally when your quarterback gets smashed, hit, or, I don't know, Cam Hayward punches him in the ribs, normally you get that get back, right? You get that get back of, okay, we're going to do, you know, something even crazier to you now because of what you did. But as a team, it just simply isn't the case. Like, our team is just not at a point where I feel like we care enough, / they're in this level of, hey, we need to, you know, do this. We're together. I feel like Zach Taylor has lost the locker room, and I feel like it's such a dysfunctional unit at this point, which is very sad to say the least.
Somebody's going to try to lay you out.
Was Elway ever trying to get the guy who's picked him off, or he stayed out of that fray? Mark?
No, back then, the rule was as soon as a quarterback threw an interception, defensive line tried to attack the quarterback because back then you could hit him, you could block him.
Right.
So
But that's also a different perspective. So when he played in let me go ahead and take this down here. He played in 89 to all the way up to 2000. And players back then didn't make the money they're making nowadays, but also NFL fines weren't crazy like they are nowadays. The sad part is NFL fines do make it almost impossible to get your justice or get your lick back in certain situations because you're going to lose a lot of money by doing so, right? And then you always have suspensions and stuff like that. People get very upset when people get their licks back. So because of that, it's a lot more, a lot more frustrating to get revenge on a player or on someone after they did something because of that. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, from a moral stance, you might be justified. From a, rules and regulations stance, you might not be. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. I agree Jamar Chase should not have spit on Jalen Ramsey. But I do not I do not believe / agree with this stupid narrative that Jalen Ramsey is innocent. I don't believe that. I believe he was a absolute a-hole. He was an absolute dirty player the whole entire game, crack blocking every single one of our guys, trying to headhunt every single one of our guys. And while, yes, two things can be true. One thing could be Jamar Chase was wrong for what he did. 1,000%, that's not a question. But it doesn't change the fact that what Jalen Ramsey did the whole entire game was absolutely disgusting and against the NFL. So, at the same time, yes, two things can be wrong. Two people in the same situation can be a-holes, right? 100% two things it can be a-holes in the same situation. But at the same time, neither of these guys are innocent. Jalen Ramsey is a piece of crap. He's a scumbag. He's a, awful player who has to take cheap shots at people, and he's been doing this his whole entire career. And Jamar Chase should not have acted the way he acted. Was he morally justified to have some reaction after all these hits? Yes. Was he morally justified for spitting on a player? No. He should not have spit on the player. You do not do that. That is not right. But from a perspective of, should he have had a chance to get his lick back? Absolutely yes. That's not a question. That's 100% the truth. He should have had his ability to get his revenge, and he got his revenge. He just did not get his revenge in the way he should have gotten it. He should have took a cheap shot at Jalen Ramsey, maybe hit him in the back of the freaking neck, and then we could have at least had a more justified thing there.
Oh, yeah, they went after quarterbacks in that time, which, again, was just that's the way it should be. You threw the pick. You deserve to get hit.
And plus, that old Rich Stadium turf was not like a pillow either, right? I mean,
no, it was a December game. Rich, December game. It's freezing. There's snow.
No.
I mean, it was awful.
A story, Mark, I'll share with you before I let you go. Marshall Faulk told this story to me multiple times because I asked him to retell it over and over again. Is that, he always thought, and rightfully so, he's Marshall freaking Faulk, that he could do whatever, that he could succeed to his Hall of Fame ability against anybody, and so he was very confident. But he remembers the first time when he was playing in Rich Stadium, and Bruce Smith came out of the tunnel, and it was, he said, a warm day. So you saw he said it was a kind of a coldish day. So you could see the heat rising from the turf.
Yeah.
And he was all greased up coming out in his sleeves. And the place was going nuts, and it was like the field was a crown. So you could only see the top half of him.
Yeah.
And he remembers thinking, that guy, like he's one of the few guys that actually caused him to have a little hitch in his pregame giddy up. Mark, that guy.
Yeah, so across the board again, like I said, was he wrong for what he did? Yes. Jalen Ramsey was not innocent. Jalen Ramsey is not a victim here. Jalen Ramsey is not someone who, shouldn't be suspended, or he didn't get suspended, but someone who shouldn't be fined. He should be fined just like every other player who throws a punch. There is no situation where Jalen Ramsey was sitting there being an angel, being a little precious princess, and then just randomly out of nowhere, Jamar Chase decided to spit on him. That's absolutely horse crap, and that's absolutely BS. And I'm not going to be gaslit into believing that Jamar Chase did that for no reason and that Jalen Ramsey is a innocent princess. He's a BITCH, and he needs to accept that. See you guys next one. Peace.